Hey, girls.
Yeah,
Hey,
John.
what?
You want to go Menards?
No.
What do you need at Menards?
I need some round barn boards.
John.
What?
They don't make wood that's like rounded, like.
Well, then how's Ryan's round barn round?
Well, I don't know.
That might be a question for Dan Bennett.
Really?
He's a volunteer on the foundation of Johnson's Park, the Ryan's Round Barn.
Hey, let's get him into the museum.
But I really want John first, before that. We're all three going to go into Menards, and he's going to ask for the round pieces.
And
the pieces of wood that are bent.
And the blinker fluid.
You know what? That just nailed it. Buckle up. It's time for Kewanee Memory Lane, where we cruise down the 4 lanes of Kewanee history with a detour of fun uncovering the past, coming to you straight from the Kewanee Historical Society in the heart of downtown Kewanee. Here are your hosts, Marianne and Leanne.
Hi, I'm Marianne.
And I'm Leanne.
Thank you for joining us for another episode of Kewanee Memory Lane. And today we have with us Mr. Dan Bennett. He is a volunteer with the Friends of Johnson Park Foundation.
And we're going to be talking about Ryan's Round Barn, which is located north of Kewanee in Johnson-Sauk Trail State Park.
I would say it's about 6 miles north of Kewanee, about 5 or 6.
5 or 6 miles? Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So I have a question to lead us off. Who was Ryan?
Ryan, Dr. Lawrence Ryan
Okay.
was his name. He grew up in the area and started out as an educator,
Okay.
and then ended up in the Chicago area as a rather famous physician and surgeon,
Oh.
and decided to buy a farm back where he was from. So he bought 320 acres in the area where Johnson's Park is right now, and decided he needed a round barn.
Okay, a round barn, because it's better than a...
When the barn was built in 1908 and construction finished in 1910, at that time, round barns had come into favor because they were considered a labor-saving device. Although it's a huge structure, it's 90 feet tall and 80 feet in diameter,
Wow.
there's just
That's big.
very few steps needed to get to anywhere you need in the barn.
So inside the barn, is it just one big room, or is there like... I know that in the picture there's like a thing that goes up the middle of
A
it.
silo.
Is that a silo? I didn't know that was a silo.
Yeah, it is a silo. I did a little reading.
Oh,
Yeah.
Maybe it was an elevator. I don't know.
It's an open space concept, yes. The silo is in the middle.
Okay.
They held silage to feed the cattle all winter
Okay.
long. It would hold about 400 ton when it was full.
Wow.
Wow.
And besides storing the silage for the cattle, it also helps support the roof. The roof is called a compression roof. There are no rafters. It's just self-supporting.
Yeah.
So it's very unique.
Wide open in there, isn't
Very
it?
unique.
Did he come up with this concept, or like, how do you even figure out you don't need the rafters in the silo? I mean,
As I said, the round barns were coming into fashion at that time,
okay,
and that was their design.
that's very cool. Very cool. And he was a famous brain surgeon, I believe.
Yeah, he studied in Europe. I forget, he was the head of some major hospital in Chicago, and became a renowned brain surgeon. And toward the end of his career, he was starting to get into plastic surgery. So he was.
And what time frame was this?
He passed away in 1932.
Oh my goodness. I can't...
Yeah.
Wow, very interesting.
Unfortunately, he passed away from pneumonia, of all things, being a doctor. But he had the farm down here, kind of a retreat, to get out of Chicago once in a while. And then he heard about a new breed of cow over in Scotland called the Black Angus, and this intrigued him. So he bought 50 head of the critters, had them shipped over here, needed some place to put them. So he had the round barn built.
Wow.
And I understand that the animals were like in the basement.
Yeah, the first level is strictly a storage and work area. And the
And that's the level that you walk into.
right.
Okay.
And the basement or lower levels where the cattle were kept. He didn't raise them to be butchered. It was a breeding operation,
Okay.
and he would sell the calves off every year. They were basically his pets. They were very pampered, so they were very well taken care of.
Oh, wow. That's pretty cool.
I can't imagine, Black Angus, they're sort of common in now.
Now
But he
they
had
are.
to have them shipped.
Yeah, at that time it was a new breed, and they weren't anywhere near as big as the cattle we know today. They were almost a miniature at that time.
Okay.
Do you know what happened, or who was in charge of the round barn after he passed away?
It stayed in the family for a time. His wife survived him, and she kept the farm. And then it changed hands, I think, twice after she let the farm go. And then the state of Illinois bought the farm in the mid-'60s to increase the size of the park.
Okay, so it includes the size of Johnson Sauk.
Right,
Okay.
right.
So I think what I was reading is maybe the lake came around in 55, and so maybe that's
believe
about,
so, yeah.
yeah, so when they were trying to do all that.
So if the barn is where it sits, where was like the main house or the house that went with it? Was it like far away? Because you think of
There are actually two houses, one for the Ryans and one for the hired men. And the other outbuildings and the houses were directly east of the barn.
Oh,
directly east of the barn. Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. So it must have been when the park was done that the road we know that goes around the park was not there. Because that's where the houses would be.
Exactly.
Okay.
Now, when the state bought the farm, of course, all the buildings came with the farm, and they
Okay.
were not interested in keeping anything. And all the outbuildings in one of the houses were demolished. The one house was moved and purchased and moved over to the Ponset area, and the round barn was still standing, but the state was ready to do away with it too.
Wow. Like they were going to tear it down?
Yeah.
Was it dilapidated at that time?
It was starting to fall into disrepair.
Okay.
And it was not secured, and 2- and 4-legged critters could wander in and out
Right.
at their leisure. And they were ready to do away with it, but some local citizens persuaded them otherwise.
Okay, and that's where the foundation came from?
Yeah, Friends of Johnson's Park Foundation began in 1984.
Okay.
Late Lorraine Owens was spearheaded the project, and there was a large group of people that belonged to the foundation at that time, but the numbers have dwindled over the years, of course.
So we were just talking to Larry Flannery about how with the hog capital there was a lot of volunteers, and now it's dwindled down to how many volunteers do you currently have?
That's hard to say.
Are there a lot of people that just sporadically come and help out, or is it like a core?
There are basically 2 adults. But this year, thankfully, the Kewanee FFA chapter has decided to get involved.
Oh, that's great.
And they had a group come out to help clean the barn.
Okay.
Did an excellent job. And the first day we were open, they had several FFAers come out, and they were getting the ropes and learning how to give tours, and they actually took over and did some tours themselves.
Oh, that's great. It's always good to get young people interested in history.
And to my knowledge, they plan on being there at least once a month to participate. The barn's open the first and third Saturdays of every
Okay.
month from 1 to 4 in the afternoon.
Okay, okay. That was gonna be one of my questions, so, yeah. Going back to the cattle, I was wondering, why were they kept in the basement, do you know, instead of the main floor, or?
Easier access, I'm sure,
Okay, okay,
to get in and out.
okay.
And is the floor made out of wood, or is it
No,
concrete,
no,
or?
it's all concrete. And when the barn was built in 1908, 1910, there were no cement trucks. Everything was hand poured. And the basement walls are 10 inches thick, so it was very labor intensive to build the thing.
Do you know who helped him build this?
There were local contractors and carpenters that were involved. And there are pictures that we have out at the barn that shows the early construction.
Oh, wow.
And everything totally by hand. There were no power tools. I mean, everything was totally done by hand.
Wow.
So where was it milled, the wood milled?
Dr. Ryan selected all the wood himself up in the Chicago area and had it shipped down here. Most of it's white pine, and they would just soak it in water long enough until it became somewhat pliable, and they could bend it into the round shape and then secure it.
So basically it was put up wet, like,
Yeah. And it would dry into the round shape.
Wow.
I'm
I always
surprised it
wondered
didn't.
how they did that.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
do too.
yeah.
So I'm surprised it didn't like want to be straight again.
I'm sure it did.
Well, I mean that's a lot of nails having the hammer.
Well, they spent $9,600 on it. So
That
that was a lot of money.
that was a lot of money, but I can't
Well,
even
and the
imagine.
calculator in my brain's trying to figure out what that would be now. I don't know. Wow.
Considerably more, I'm sure.
Yeah. And well, plus was that was labor and materials, right? Can you imagine the labor having to build that and the scaffolding and because it is very, would you say 90 feet tall?
90 feet tall.
And there's nothing on the inside to like.
Nope.
My golly, Pete,
Supports itself.
that is so interesting.
How long have you been involved with the
I
committee?
think this is my 14th year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And aside from the FFA students that have come on board, other gentlemen and myself were senior citizens, so we need the next generation to pick up the torch.
Yeah. So you're looking for volunteers and stuff.
Yep.
Okay. And how can people get involved?
Show up any Saturday, and we'll.
Okay. Like, do you guys have meetings that take place? No, you just get together.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they show up, you exchange phone numbers, and you're good to go.
Okay.
If they show up, they're on board.
There you go. There you go.
And it's totally voluntary. You don't have to come out every Saturday.
Sure.
And you're just more the merrier.
I just think it's really neat to have this in the Kewanee area, and I'd like to see it continue and be available
Right.
for tours. So.
Yeah.
Well, it's a historic site. It's on the National Register of Historic Places, so it's
Right.
protected in that regard. But it's an historic site. It's something that should be preserved.
Right. And yeah, it just needs people out there. I know that people that camp, they have a area mode to the campsites.
Yeah, a path.
A path, thank you. To an area, a path mode from the campground to the round barn, because I know that that's a draw for a lot of people to go see.
Yeah.
Well, it's very popular with people who just to wander in and see.
Right.
If we're out there on any particular day doing some work on the barn and they see the doors open, you're pretty guaranteed that someone's going to come in and just want to look around and see what it's like. You know?
Yeah.
We have between 1,000 and 1,200 people come through every year.
Wow, that was one of our questions.
That's actually way more than I thought.
Yeah,
You know? Yeah.
right.
That's cool.
And we ask for a $2 donation for individuals and $5 for families, but no one is ever turned away for inability to pay. Everyone's welcome. We survive on donations,
Right.
and we've accumulated enough that we're able to replace some windows, and there's some other renovations that need to be taken care of that we'll have to farm out that we can't do ourselves. The roof had become in great disrepair, and if the roof hadn't gotten attention, the barn was not going to survive. And thankfully, 3 years ago,
It's like I knew it was recent.
with the help of our local representative, Dan Swanson, who was a farmer, he went to bat for us in Springfield and helped get a new roof put on.
How many round barns are there around this area? Do you know?
None.
There's none.
This is it.
Yeah.
That is definitely
There's
needs to
some
be
that are
preserved.
octagon shaped, but this is the only round one. And there's anywhere it'd be hard pressed to find one this size. This is very unique.
So now this whole silo thing has got me thinking.
Okay.
How did they get the grain into the silo? Because it's in the middle. It's not like you could drive a truck up to the silo.
No. We have a very nice collection of farm implements in the barn. It's a very, very nice collection. In fact, it's full. There's not room for anything else in there.
We know
And-
how that is.
And one of the items is what they call a chopper blower, and they would use a steam engine that would actually sit outside of the barn.
Okay.
And they would use that to power the chopper blower, and they would feed the entire stalks of corn into this chopper blower, and it would chop up the corn
Yeah.
into the silage,
Okay.
and it would chopper blower, it would blow the silage clear to the top of the silo in a tube.
I can picture this.
I can picture this,
And
yeah.
then it would fall into the silo at the top, fall down to the basement, just eventually fill it up.
Okay. Because I'm kind of wacky. Did they use it all the way down to the bottom? Okay. Because I'm like, what gets stuck down at the bottom?
That's very cool.
Well, I mean, I guess they take it out from the bottom,
No,
though.
no.
Oh.
When the silo was full, and it was time to start feeding the silage, the farmer would climb up from the basement, climb up to the top of the silo, and there were openings all the way up the silo. Of course, when the silo was full, those openings would be covered.
Right.
But the farmer would climb up to the very top of the silo, climb in the opening at the top with a silage fork, and just pitch the silage out, and it would fall down to the basement, and they would put it in the troughs for the cattle to eat.
Boy, that had to have been a hard job.
A very hard
What-
job. As at 90.
Was there a harness? Because
No. He
I'm
would-
just, you hear of bad things happening in grain silos.
Yeah.
He would climb 90 feet to
Oh
the
my
top,
gosh.
and then just fork out the silage, one forkful at a time.
Yeah, I'm not a farm girl, so I'm thinking, okay, we have a silo of corn. It just spits out these
That's
little trays all around in a circle. It's great.
Like your hamster thing did.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. This is
And,
so interesting.
The more that was taken out, of course, the lower it got.
Right.
And
So they wouldn't have to. So later in the year, they wouldn't have to climb up
yeah,
as far.
not as far.
Okay.
So I wonder how many times in a year they had to change that out. Who knows? Maybe the cows were more hungry that day. I don't know.
And by the springtime, it was very aromatic in there.
Oh,
I can only imagine. Oh my goodness. And it's, contained. It's not like a silo sitting out in the field. It's you're stuck in there with it.
Yeah. So with the circle, the cows were the cows situated like nose in then? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
They were in stanchions, like you would see dairy cattle, but there were no dairy cattle ever on the farm.
Okay.
Okay.
But they'd bring the cattle in, put them in the stanchions to feed them.
Okay.
Okay, so there was like a pasture or something that they hung out
Yep,
in.
they were outside a lot.
Okay,
Yeah.
and then they just brought them in and.
And there was also a theory that Dr. Ryan would make sure the barn doors were closed when the tax assessor came around so he wouldn't see the silo on the inside.
Oh.
Smart thinking, Dr. Ryan.
Not sure if that's true or not.
It sounds to me like Dr. Ryan wasn't hurting. That he could probably afford to pay the taxes on this.
But also, I think it's pretty cool that he's like, hey, I found out about these cattle in Scotland.
Yeah.
I'm going to bring them over here, you know.
And then you got to wonder, what did his wife think about this?
Maybe she liked coming to the country. Was she
Well-
from Kewanee?
That I don't know.
Okay.
No, I'm sorry.
We'll have to do some research.
Yeah, we'll have to
so-
research that and see.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so.
Because, you know, if it's a city girl marrying a farm boy, it'll be like Green Acres.
Oh, God.
Farm living is the life for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mentioned that we survived basically on donations,
Right.
and I'd be remiss if I didn't give credit to several local people that support us every year.
Oh, yes, please do.
The Rotary Club,
Okay.
the Independent Insurance Agents of Henry County,
Okay.
and the Vintage Farm Equipment Show from Atkinson each give us very generous donations every year. And we're
great.
very appreciative of that. And local businesses also give us in-kind donations free of charge. B&B Printing,
Yes.
Breedlove's, and Doug Irwin takes care of our accounting.
That's great.
Yeah, he's very good for that.
So we depend on all those folks every year and do
Yeah.
appreciate their help.
But you're always, I mean, with repairs that are going to be needed,
Yeah.
you're always looking for more donations
We
to.
have a major cost this summer with the repairs. So.
Oh,
And the not too distant future, the barn is going to need to be repainted again, so that's another major cost.
you can
So,
only imagine what it costs to
yeah.
paint
Well.
that thing.
I could do the lower part.
No, you couldn't, because it's like concrete up to so
Yeah.
far.
Oh, you know, I'm going to come out and visit, and I cannot wait. It's been a while since I've been
Yeah.
out, but I can't wait to come out and visit again.
Yeah, because when you think about going in on the it's the first level, but
Yeah.
then in the back it's like another.
Okay, well, we'll figure it out.
I'll put you on my shoulders.
Okay, great. Sounds great. Okay.
Now, the site superintendent at the park is Jolynn Jackson, and she's very supportive of our efforts at the barn and really wants to help keep everything going. And
Yeah.
she is a very, very big help to us. And I mentioned Dan Swanson, our representative. He was a major reason we got the new roof. So we really appreciate what he did for us. Steve Christian from Geneseo retired this year from the Friends, but he was headed up some of the major renovations, putting in new windows and the painting and putting on new doors. He did a lot of the heavy lifting, getting those things done. And then the FFA advisor this year is Lexi Roomker for the Kewanee FFA. And she's really been instrumental in getting the kids going and getting them out there. And they've really done a good job.
That's great. That's great.
Now, do the kids that go out there, do they understand? Like you said, there's a lot of implements. Do they know what they are, or is it so far? You know, it's so much different now.
Yeah.
Do they know what those were used for? And
No, and I don't know what some of them are used for.
We'll do
Most-
some research.
yeah,
Most of the items that were donated, as I said, and it's a very nice collection, are items that would have been in use back when the barn
when
was
the barn
built.
was built.
So,
Yeah.
nothing modern whatsoever.
Yeah. So you said that the first floor was a work area and
Storage.
and
yeah.
storage. So
So,
all that stuff would have probably been kept in there then, right?
not as much. but
Right.
yeah,
Oh,
it's-
sure. Yeah. Yeah. I just can't imagine, having to fight your way around that stuff and get your work done, and because when I was out there, it's been a little while. It was full. So
Yeah.
Now, the barn sits inside the park,
yes.
so the building belongs to the state of Illinois. So any renovations or any projects that we get involved with have to be approved by Springfield first.
okay.
Everything goes through them before we can do anything.
Okay.
So
Okay.
Well, I've learned a lot today, and like
I
I
sure
said, I
have.
can't wait to come out and visit.
Yeah, we'll have to make a day of that. Yeah.
I think it's about time that we need to wrap it up.
Okay.
So, again, you said come out the first or third Sunday. Saturday.
From 1 to 4.
And Mr. Bennett, he will put you to work or
Rain
help
or
you.
shine.
Oh, rain or shine.
Rain or shine.
Yeah, and you'll get a nice tour and meet some lovely people and learn about farming previously,
Yeah,
in
and
the
thank
olden
you-
days.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so
My
much for
pleasure.
joining us. We'll see you at the museum.
Thanks for cruising with us today. We hope you enjoyed the show and you'll join us for our next cruise down Kewanee Memory Lane.